In this final episode of the 4-part series on timeout, we will discuss what to do after the timeout. The first episode addresses why timeouts are important and some of the history of timeouts as a transition away from physical punishment. The second episode, before the timeout, discusses how to prepare for the timeout, identifying locations in your home that are suitable for the timeout, identifying the behaviors you're trying to correct, usually some form of aggression or disrespect, and figuring out how often the behavior occurs. So once you start timeouts, you can determine if they're helping to reduce the behavior, and then explaining the timeout to your children. The third episode walks through what to do during the timeout, announcing the timeout to your child, giving them limited options, getting them to the timeout location, what to do while your child is in timeout, and some of the many challenges that you might face while using the timeout procedure. This fourth episode, episode 44, will address what to do after the timeout and how to reconnect with your child. There are several schools of thought as to the best approach to processing the timeout with your child. In a perfect world, your child would want to talk about their feelings and demonstrate amazing insight and awareness of others, taking full responsibility for their behaviors and being fully committed to never doing the misdeed again, and making a full repair by offering to do something nice for you or the injured party. That mostly never happens because we don't live in a perfect world, and kids are still growing. They're still learning how to manage their complex and conflicting feelings. They're learning how to problem solve and take responsibility for their behaviors. They have not mastered this yet. One evidence-based parenting program, 1-2-3 Magic, Dr. Thomas Phelan's model, suggests simply informing the child their timeout is up and inviting them to rejoin the family. No lectures, no conversation. Another evidence-based program, Triple P, encourages the parent to make a simple but straightforward statement to the child about the timeout being up and then inviting them to come out and rejoin the family or the previous activity. And the parent also can look for opportunities to find a moment for positive engagement to praise their child for something they're doing well. Most evidence-based programs don't recommend parents and children sit down and rehash why the timeout occurred and what the child did wrong. Why? So why not rehash the behavior? Well, look at this from the child's point of view. They've already done their time. They may be quiet, but they may also still be raw and angry. They've done their consequence, and talking about it may only bring it up again to make them feel like maybe they're being punished twice for the same thing. Keep in mind that our job as parents is to teach and not to punish. It may be helpful to remember the rule of not lecturing your child after a timeout. It can feel like double punishment. It can also respark arguments that may show your child is not fully owning the behavior. Some parents think that apologizing is a good thing. I agree, when it is sincere and unsolicited. There are two kinds of sorry, sincere and insincere. Imagine demanding an apology and your child hisses out the word sorry through clenched teeth and dripping with sarcasm. You immediately confront this and challenge their sincerity. You didn't mean it. Now we are evaluating a child's motives, and this can get ugly fast. You say, you didn't mean it. Yes, I did. No, I can tell by your tone. I also have eyes in the back of my head. You can see where this is going. And it doesn't go very well. Demanding some form of apology from a child can actually lead to the child sounding sincere, but not really being sincere. Here's what you might want to consider after a timeout is up. Invite the child to rejoin you or the family and watch what they do, not what they say. Actions speak louder than words. If the child asks to play with you or for you to do something with them, this is their attempt to make the relationship repair. When you're able, find some pro-social behavior that you can praise them for. Maybe they listened. They did what you asked right away. Maybe they helped their sibling. Maybe they did something without being asked. The key point here is to find a way to re-engage the child in some form of positive interaction that you and they may find helpful. If your experience in reconnecting with your child after the timeout by trying to have a conversation about what they did wrong that got them in trouble in the first place is met with resistance or with, I forgot, then limit this negative interaction by stating as briefly as possible the reason they went into timeout and what the rule is. You might say something like, You went into timeout because you were throwing toys. We don't throw toys in the house. Your timeout is up. You can come out and play again. As we have stated throughout this series, timeouts are meant to be a positive parenting tool. Kids don't always like them for reasons we've discussed. However, timeouts don't need to be frequent or miserable for you and your child. There are several important ingredients to ensuring the best chance of success with using this procedure. The first is remaining calm and not acting in anger as a parent. Think about this as an opportunity to model for your child. Your child's emotions can run high in the moments before a timeout and during a timeout. Your calm delivery and presence can help your child also work toward being calm. The second ingredient is planning in terms of location. This may vary depending on where you are, at home or out in the community. And the third ingredient is to anticipate a little bit of pushback from your child. This is normal. If you are firm and calm, you will need to use timeouts less and less often. If you're considering using this parenting tool, please do yourself a favor and keep track of the behaviors that are leading to timeouts. There may be some days initially when it feels like your child is practically living in a timeout, but watch and see. With consistent application of this tool, the frequency, intensity, and duration of the behavior, the need to use the timeouts decreases. I have seen rapid decrease in the undesirable behaviors in a matter of days or a couple of weeks when parents consistently use timeouts. When this occurs, you know that you're on the right track. After the timeout procedure, it's really important to reconnect with your child, whether it be in a game, completing some task, joining them in play, or just small conversation. Look for ways to let them know that you are okay and that they're okay. Some children are able to have those deep talks about their behaviors, but most aren't. Actions, both your actions and their actions, speak louder than words. Praising your child for going to the timeout quickly and not being disruptive when it occurs can further reinforce for the child that even when their emotions run high and they're mad, they can still do the right thing. We want to recognize this. If you've been plugging away at this timeout procedure for weeks or months and have seen no benefit, then there may be more going on. It is important to seek professional help to sort out what else might be contributing to the problem behaviors that your child's exhibiting. Timeouts are most effective when all the care providers where the child lives are on the same page and all the care providers remain calm in enforcing the timeout procedure. There may be some minor differences between home environments or between individuals who are doing the timeout, but the procedure should be fairly similar. If the problem behaviors persist, talk with your child's medical provider as a starting point. School guidance counselors and school behavior interventionists may also be good resources for your child. This podcast is not the only resource for you to learn more about parenting. The Centers for Disease Control has a great webpage on timeouts that is in the episode notes. Finally, there are very good evidence-based parenting programs like Triple P, Act Raising Safe Kids, and 123 Magic that can help you to refine this tool as well and to help you use other tools in raising your child. Please remember, discipline is about teaching our children. We do this by being present for them each day in ways that we're able. We model, we guide, we help them to learn to problem solve, we keep them safe, we listen to them, we nurture them. We help them to create routines and to learn self-control. We create memories, we play with them and laugh with them. We love them. Thank you for tuning in and considering this parenting topic. I hope that this information added to your growing toolbox for parenting your child or children. Please consider exploring other topics in this series. Remember, no one parenting tool can do everything. We need many tools to become the best parents for our children. Your children's future depends on you and the time and effort you invest in them today.